All right, so I want to take a moment to talk about continuity. I have a function f of x here, and it's a piecewise function. The top part is x squared minus 9 over x squared plus x minus 6. And then, of course, an x cannot equal -3 or 2 is what it's telling you. So it's every other number except those two numbers. And the second part says when x equals -3, my y value is 7. So I have a point there. All right. So let's look at this function from the standpoint of continuity. Let's find some x values where it's not continuous, and let's kind of figure out why. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top part and I'm going to factor it. So I've got x plus 3, x minus 3, and then I have x plus 3 and x minus 2. All right, so I've got this top part of this piecewise factored, and we can see that x plus 3 cancels out, and that leaves me with x minus 3 over x minus 2. Okay, so I know at x plus 3 from pre-cal, it cannot equal 0, but that's going to be a whole, so x cannot equal -3. So that's going to be a whole right there. Now, if I plug this back in, I can find the y value of the whole, but that's not really necessary. So we know that it's not going to be, we know that there's a whole at -3, but we also know in this equation that f of -3 equals 7. So part 1 of the 3 requirements of continuity is there. Does f of c exist? So does f of -3 exist? And that answer is yes, it's f of 7. The next part of it is, does the limit as x approaches -3, and I'm going to use the reduced form of x minus 3 over x minus 2, does that exist? Well, if I put the -3 in here, I'm going to get -3 minus 3 over -3 minus 2, which is -6 over -5, which is 6/5. So that exists. Okay. So the first two requirements exist, but let's look at the third requirement. This tells me that f of -3, it should equal, but it does not equal, the limit as x approaches -3 of my original equation, which is x squared minus 9 over x squared plus x minus 6. Now we found the limit of the reduced form, which is perfectly fine, but this is the reason why the function is not continuous at -3. It's because it fails the last of the 3 requirements. The other one's pretty straightforward. Well, x cannot equal 2. F of 2 is actually undefined. And that is the very first requirement of continuity. So we have an x value, it's undefined, it's not continuous at 2 and at -3. And the reason why is that f of 2 is undefined, so it fails that requirement of the continuity test. And then at -3, it fails the part where my f of -3 has to equal my limit as x approaches -3 of my function. So that is the reason why we have 2 different points of discontinuity and the reasons. Hi, I'm Mr. Buzzard, and these videos are supplemental instruction for my students. If you found the video enjoyable, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe, as well as the bell for notifications to receive future videos on high school mathematics.